Hello, welcome to today's video. We are going to have fun discussing the 10 must-have conversations that every intending couple should have before getting married, before saying I do. And guess what? Number 8 and number 9 are my favorites. So I want to encourage you to sit down and watch this video to the end so that you do not miss out on this wonderful topic. You're going to learn a lot. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, and get a notebook and a pen and sit down. Let's have this fun discussion together. Hello and welcome to Chioma Noble's YouTube channel. My name is Chioma. I'm a wife and I've been married for almost 12 years now. I have 4 children and we homeschool our kids, and my husband and we do ministry together. And so on this channel, I am here to encourage you with the word of God and to help you to grow in your relationship with Jesus, whether in your marriage, as a parent, as a child of God in general. I love Jesus. So if you love Jesus, then this channel is for you. All right. Now let's get on with today's video. The first must-have conversation that intending couples should talk about is their place of worship. What is their desired place of worship, or where would they like to worship after they get married? We don't encourage couples to go to different churches. We encourage couples to sit under the same pastor, under the same ministry, and feed from the same place, because that helps with oneness in marriage. So before you get married, it is important to ask each other, which church would you desire to attend? Sometimes a couple will go to different churches, but after you get married, it is good to find one church or decide which of the churches you guys want to go to and begin to go there. And you don't want to do that after marriage. You want to make that decision before marriage, because that will help you to set the right foundation to help you build a strong marriage. So discuss, where do you want to go to church? Which pastor do you want to be under? What ministry do you want to serve in? That is a good must-have conversation that an intending couple should have. Okay? Another conversation that I believe couples should have before getting married is choosing who their marriage mentor, marriage disciplers should be. And this should be another couple, a husband and a wife who have been married for some time, whose marriage is an example to the intending couple. And this should be somebody that you probably have worked with in the past. Why is it important to have a marriage mentor? It is important to have a marriage mentor because couples face a lot of challenges during their first few years of marriage. And most times you don't know whom to turn to. A lot of the problems in marriage that cause separation can actually be traced to the very first year of marriage. And it's a problem. And it was a problem or a challenge that was not properly handled. You need a couple that you can go to for counsel, for godly counsel. A couple who will not be partial, between you and your spouse. A couple that will counsel you with the word of God and also share their experiences with you, okay? To help encourage you in your own marriage. And so it's good to decide very early on, before you get married, whom that marriage mentor should be. Intending couples, ask each other, whom can you trust to share your problems with? And also, whom can you trust to counsel you, and you will listen to that person when that person calls you to order? That is something that should be discussed before marriage. Another important discussion to have is, when do you intend to have children after marriage? Do you want to start having kids immediately? Do you want to wait, after some years before you start having children? Or maybe you don't want to have children. That is something to discuss before you get married. If you desire to have children immediately you get married, share that with your future spouse and see what their opinion is. If you decide to wait longer, maybe after 2 years to begin to have children, let the spouse know as well. Discuss these topics and come to a compromise. Agree on when you want to start to have children so that both of you are in agreement with that when you get married, so that no one is putting pressure on the other. Okay. And also, another thing to discuss relating to having children is what type of birth control or what method of birth control do you want to use while you're waiting for that time period to begin to have children. And if you don't want to have children, do you intend to adopt in the future, or you don't want to adopt at all? These are important issues to discuss before you get married. Another topic, since we're talking about children, is how many children do you want to have? It is important to talk about how many children you desire to have. Maybe you just want one, or maybe you want to have a lot of children, maybe 5 or 6. Discuss it and come to an agreement on how many children you want to have, so that in marriage, you guys are both sure that, okay, both of us, we know that these are the number of children we want to have. And so when we get to that number, we know that, we want to stop. Or if God leads you both to have more, you may be open to having more than you had agreed to before getting married. If you are liking this point, please subscribe to this channel. Please like this video. All right. All right. Another topic related to having children that needs to be discussed before marriage is, how do you plan to raise your children? Do you plan to bring in your grandparents to come and help raise the kids? Do you plan to have a nanny live with you? Do you prefer daycare? Or maybe you want to have homeschool. You want to stay at home and raise your children and teach your children. Or do you want to, are you open to a public school system or private school system for your children? You want to have these discussions so that when the right time comes, you both know what your decisions are, and both of you will, flow together with that decision. The Bible tells us in Amos chapter 3, verse 3, it says, can two walk together unless they are in agreement? And so for a couple to work together in marriage, there must be an agreement. And this point of discussions help couples to be in agreement while entering into marriage. And this will help couples to have a stronger marital relationship. All right. On the topic of grandparents, a point of discussion is, how do you plan to handle in-laws? How do you plan to handle their visits? And also when they overstay their visits. How often do you want to have family members come to visit you? How often do you want to have them stay over? These are things to talk about, because some spouse may not feel comfortable with family members coming in unannounced and then overstaying their visits. It is important to talk about these things so that a spouse is not offended in marriage because of in-law visitations. Okay. Also, another thing to discuss that is very, very important is, where do you want to live? Do you plan to move in to, the guy's apartment or the guy's home? Or do you guys want to get a completely new apartment, a completely new home, and start afresh? Do you want to start to live in an apartment? Do you want to go straight to having buying your own home? Please discuss these things, because they will help reduce the arguments and the fightings and the quarrels early on in marriage. Ooh, this one is very, very, very good. This is a very important discussion to have before getting married, and that is about finances. So, with finances, do we want to have a joint account? Do we want to have separate accounts? Who is the saver and who is the spender? Who should be the one to handle the major part of the finances, to help make decisions, the financial decisions, to make sure that both of you are saving and both of you are handling your money well, your resources well, your wealth well? It is important to discuss how to handle finances, because finances is one of the reasons couples fight in marriages. Okay, so please discuss these issues before saying I do. This is very, very important. Ooh, this one. I know some of you are expecting me to say this, but or maybe some of you don't even have it in your mind for me to say. But another topic to discuss right before the wedding day, maybe let's say the month of the wedding day or the week of the wedding day, but with the help of your counselors, is how often do you want to be intimate in marriage? This is a very good discussion to have, please, because we don't want to go into marriage having an expectation that might not be met in marriage. Okay, how often do you want to be intimate? How often do you want to do the sex in marriage? Do you want to do it multiple times a day? Because there are people who desire to have it multiple times a day. Do you want to have it once a day, like every day I want it? Or do you want to have it once a week, once a month? Please, it's a good discussion to have, but with the help of your counselor, so that, you know, discussing it alone may not lead to things that may not help your marriage or help your thought. So it is good to have this discussion with your counselors so that it will be a safe zone for you both to talk about it. So, how often do you want to be intimate? You want to go into marriage knowing this so that one person doesn't feel disappointed or one person doesn't feel like, they are exhausted, and this is just an it's something that they cannot deal with. I don't know how to say it, yeah, but it's good to understand where you both are when it comes to intimacy. Are you both open to being intimate, enjoying intimacy, or is it that someone doesn't feel like it, is indifferent about it, while the other one is like so passionate about intimacy, so passionate about intimacy? It's cool to talk about these things because sex is another thing that causes problems in marriages. See, finances, sex, these two things are corporate. Is it, how do you say? They are culprits. Corporate. Oh, my accent. They are problems in marriage. Problems in marriage. So please discuss these things. And last but not least is number 10 is discussing your future aspirations. Sister, brother, what are your future plans? Some people might want to go back to school. It's good to let your future spouse know that, like, I really want to go back to school and further my education. What do you think of that? It's good to talk about these things. Or God is calling me to do missionary work, and I feel like in the future we might move to a remote village and serve God there. It's good to say these things so that the other person can be prepared in their mind for what may happen in marriage. Some of these things, sometimes God may change our path and change our directions and future plans and all of that, yes. But it's good to discuss these things, okay? Okay, it's good to discuss them so that when we are making the decisions in marriage. The other one is not surprised at the decisions that we've decided to make, or at the step where we've decided to take, or the step the other person has decided to take. So it is good to talk about these things so that in the future in your marriage, when one spouse is taking that decision, the other spouse will not be surprised at the person's action. The person should have been aware that, okay, these are the things that we talked about, and I'm aware that my spouse said that this is what they want to do in marriage. I hope these topics of discussion has blessed you. Please let me know which one is your favorite. Okay, I know my favorites are number 9 and number 8 or number 8 and number 9. Let me know what your favorites are, and also please freely share other points of discussions that couples should have before getting married. We want to help godly couples out there have a strong marriage. The devil is fighting marriages, and we want to do the best we can to stop him from further breaking homes and causing separation in marriages. Thank you so much for watching this video to this point. Thank you so much. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this video. And before I forget, I want you to watch my other video where I discuss some red flags that those in godly relationships should be aware of before getting married. You want to know those red flags before you say, I do. So don't forget to watch it, all right? And please be on the lookout for more of my videos. God bless you so much. Have a beautiful week. Bye.